everyone, it's a beautiful afternoon and I have come down to the Thames foreshore. I can see a clipper boat over there and I haven't seen one of those for quite a while. There's still a fair amount of sludge on the foreshore, which indicates that there hasn't been a great deal of boating activity, but we might find something, you never know. And if we don't, I'm going to add some finds from previous outings to this video. In fact, I'm going to add some anyway, because I've got some really interesting ones that I want to show you. But there's the clipper boat. Welcome back, Clipper. So I'm walking along the top of the foreshore here where there's less mud and it's less precariously slippery. And there is something down here of interest, although I'm not going to take it. Look, it's a tile. Looks like it's got some Chinese writing on it, and it's probably some form of offering, I should think. I don't know if that's upside down. Does anybody know what it means, or part of? So we are going to go now and discover a few finds from a few months ago, before this delightful layer of sludge overtook the foreshore, and which is still quite present. Look carefully. What we've got here. A pipe poking out of the mud. Get out of my shadow. Here it is. So let's get this out. Ah, very nice. I've just seen something down here. Initially it was just the pipe stem that I saw, which is here, and actually there's nothing on the end, but as you can see just here there's a little round thing next to it. So let's see what this is. Ooh, how exciting! Oh my gosh, what is that? Wow! Well, it's a button, but it's a really pretty button. And it's got something written around the edge. Wow, how lucky is that? Oh, okay, it's got Woolwich something. Oh, Woolwich Union. Okay. What a beautiful button. Oh, that's spectacular, that is. Now I just came across this broken plate. I could see a bit of plate sticking out of the mud, so I just flipped it over to see if there's anything on it. On this side there's nothing, but on this fragment here there is a motif, and so I'm going to take it because it's always fun to research these things. And it looks like the Church Army. Fight the good fight. There, look. So perhaps something a bit like the Salvation Army. But in any case, I'm going to take this and have a little look. Delve into the history of what this might be and have a closer look at that emblem as well. I just spotted a little piece of metal down here with some lettering on it. rinse. Pop that in my bag and straighten it up at home. What have we got here? It's a squashed bullet, very squashed. Doing some scraping here and just scraped up this bit of metal. I'm going to see what it is. Looks like some kind of little brooch or something, and it has got something on it, so that's always exciting. Well, it's pretty wonderful. It says Fire Watch on it. That's really beautiful. Just seen something potentially interesting down here. A piece of metal, looks quite decorative from where I'm standing. It's just down here, look. Let's have a look. Isn't that nice? That's very pretty. It looks like some kind of lid, doesn't it? It's got some hinges there, so I can polish it up when I get home. Now don't ask me how, but by some amazing miracle I've spotted what I think is part of a pipe just down here. So your eye becomes accustomed and it sort of manages to separate them from the stones and things, and I think that this is part of a pipe right under here. So sometimes it's really just luck that you're just looking at the right time when it catches the light. So yeah, we've got a pipe here. We've got a pipe. It's another 1700s pipe. And there we have it. Oh look, there's a beautiful maker's mark on that one. I'll look forward to having a closer look at that. I love it when you get a maker's mark on there. It just makes it so much more kind of personal. On that side, and also on the other side it looks like it could be a little tiny crown, actually. A tiny crown with an eye on that side and a tiny crown with something else on the other side. Hi everyone, well thank you very much for watching, and guess what? I found out that my Woolwich Union button almost certainly originates from the Woolwich Union Workhouse, which opened in 1872. So I've made a trip out here to Woolwich. I'm on Plumstead Common, so come along with me. Let's go and see what we can find out about the Woolwich Union Workhouse, and we'll take a look at the other things that I found that featured in today's video too. So let's brave the rain and let's go do it. Now it's a suitably dank and gloomy rainy day to be following the trail that this button, which would have originated from the Woolwich Union Workhouse, is taking me on. The Woolwich Union Workhouse was opened in 1872 and the foundation stone was laid in 1870 with the inscription, "The poor ye will always have with ye." And the actual building itself would have been just over there near the brow of that hill. But here we have some information, look, it's called Workhouse Wood, and there you can see a picture of the old Woolwich Union Workhouse, which is going to be now to our left. So it's up here, and we are going down here to go and see the remains of the piggery. There were men, women and children in the workhouse. I was looking at the 1881 census for the workhouse yesterday, and there were well over 440 inmates. But some of them would have taken this trail, I mean it would have been slightly different obviously, but they would have walked from the Woolwich Union Workhouse along to this piggery. So let's go and see what remains of the workhouse. So here I am in the rain with the piggery behind me. The Woolwich Union Workhouse would have been, let's say, 400 to 500 yards over that direction. And behind me, in this wood, which was once an orchard, part of the land which was purchased to build the Woolwich Union Workhouse on, is this very, very useful information board put together by the Friends of Plumstead Common a few years ago. And so I'm going to have a look at some of the information, and they've picked out some of the key points. Let's start with, what did the inmates do? Well, they had to pay their way in some way. So many of the men used to have to break stones, and apparently some of the Friends of the Plumstead Common have found lumps of granite here in this area, which would have come from the workhouse at some point, because they're not local to the area. So many of the men used to break granite. The women used to do some oakum picking. Old bits of rope which had been used on ships, they would pick apart to mix with tar for caulking the seams of wooden ships. A particularly tough job on the hands, apparently. We've also got here a picture of Christmas Day in the workhouse. Everybody wearing a very, very bland and similar uniform. And it says, the workhouse inmates always dined sitting along one side of narrow tables to discourage conversation that might waste time. And note how they are all wearing a workhouse uniform. So, I mean, you know, it is possible that this button could have come from a workhouse uniform. It just seems a little bit too posh, I don't know, for a workhouse inmate uniform. So here we have, some of the inmates at the workhouse had mental illnesses or learning difficulties and were classified as lunatics, imbeciles or idiots. Now, there were also young girls and young boys in the workhouse. Young girls were transferred at 12 years old to the Sutton schools for training in domestic service, into which they were sent at the age of 15. In January 1875, a youngster named Caroline Cash was sent to work for a Mrs. Butler in Brixton for 2 shillings a week. That would be about £8.50 a week now. And she was treated very harshly, and by December of that year, when she returned to the workhouse, she had not been paid at all. Now for the boys, young boys between the ages of 12 and 15 were sent to the Royal Navy training ship Goliath. The Woolwich Union minutes record how 15-year-old William Foster, a lad belonging to the Union, had been transferred from the Goliath to serve as regular crew on HMS Duncan. And also in 1875, the workhouse gave immediate shelter to 26 boys rescued from the Goliath when she was destroyed by fire on the Thames near Grays. So there's pretty much everything you need to know about the workhouse here from 1870, when the foundation stone was laid by the Reverend Francis Cameron, with the inscription, "The poor ye always have with you," right up to 2015, when they created this area here. One quite funny little detail here in the workhouse minutes: apparently in November 1873, twice as much money was spent on gin as on soap. So everything you really want to know here about the Woolwich Union Workhouse, here in this forest just off of Winds Common, on Plumstead Common, and certainly many of the inmates would have been in this surrounding area, so it's quite special to bring back this little button to a place where it may have been before. Well, I hadn't planned on it raining. It was beautiful yesterday. Today is the first day it's rained for absolutely ages, and I did bring all my things with me to do a quick roundup, so we can just dash through them now, so you just have to excuse the rainy look. So the first thing I want to look at is this piece of plate, which has got the logo, Church Army, Fight the Good Fight. Now, apparently the Church Army is still alive and well, and it was established in 1882 by Wilson Carlyle with a vision to train ordinary men and women to reach those most in need of the gospel. They used to reach out to slums, prisons and places like that, so it's really not unreasonable to think that they probably came across people in workhouses too. So there is a slight link here with this plate and this workhouse, because a lot of the people in the workhouse were very, very poor and in desperate need at that time, so these people would have thought of the gospel. So it's possible that some people in the Woolwich Union Workhouse met people in the Church Army. So that's that. And here we've got this small fire watcher's badge, which would have been worn by a fire watcher during World War II. It's one of my favourite little finds, actually, because it really tells such an important story of an important role played during World War II by normal civilians. Teams of fire watchers took turns to patrol buildings at night. During the war, they were looking out for incendiary bombs, which were the smaller kind of bombs, still bombs nevertheless, with small explosive charges, and if the fires were put out quickly enough, then damage was limited. But if they did catch fire, then a lot of damage could be caused. So these people played an extraordinarily important role during World War II. And what else have we got? Well, we have got a couple of pipes this time. Now, this one's particularly nice because it does have a lovely maker's mark here. I'll put a photograph up so you can see a close-up of it. It's definitely a crown and some initials, C and I think, and that would date to the mid-18th century, maybe 1740, 1750. So we've got that pipe. We've got some nice bits of metal. Got this one here, which I had thought was the lid to something, but it might simply just be an ornamental hinge. I'm not sure. If you know, please let me know. This piece of metal here, which I know it's nothing particularly, is it? But it's just nice. I just like the font of the lettering, which is stamped into it. It was probably simply a label attached to some cables at one point, I think. We've also got this ornamental piece of metal here, and I'm not quite sure what that came from. So if you know, please let me know. And also you'll have seen a coin there, which I didn't have sound to because it was extremely windy, but it was a George V coin, a penny. And I think that is everything. So I think my favourite find has got to be this Woolwich Union button, which is in my pocket here. It's a really good example of how something small that you find in the Thames mud that's laid there for years and years can take you on a journey, and it just makes it all that more special to actually come here and see the remains of the workhouse. And imagine the children, the men and the women who would have come along that little path or something similar to feed the pigs, to work in the stables, and to live their lives, you know, back in the 19th century. So it's been great, and I'd like to give a really big shout out to the Friends of Plumstead Common for providing all this information and making this little button come to life. So thank you everyone for watching. I hope you have a great week ahead. If you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to see some more, then please like and subscribe, and I will look forward to seeing you again very soon. Thank you very much.